Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Budget Oracle Think Tank deck profile for standard format May 2020. Want to do an update to the Oracle Think Tank deck as a whole, but I also wanted to bring out a budget deck for the Oracle Think Tanks for quite some time now, focusing on a lot of the more expensive decks out there like Magus and Tsukiyomi. We didn't really focus anything on what's more budget friendly for the Oracle Think Tank deck as a whole, so I decided with this deck profile we'd focus more on Misaki's older units that she used, some of the more nostalgic units like CEO, Matarasu, Maiden of Libra, Silent Tom, ones that are more affordable for the deck as a whole, but focus more on, the playstyle where you check the top card of your deck and get different effects based on that, and plus all the other grade 2 units that have the discard cost for different abilities, being able to use that as a plus with some of the other units used for the discard cost. And altogether it came out as a really fun deck and real nostalgic for all the old units that Misaki did use in their new standard format versions. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the actual grade 3 units, I definitely do want to run for CEO Matarasu, but this can come down to just, how many of this card you have and what you wanted to go for the backup grade 3 units as well. With this card, and your focus being Imaginary Gift Protect on Vanguard once per turn, you counterblast one, draw a card, look at the top card of your deck, put it on the top or bottom of your deck. So it sets up your trigger units, or just you drawing into potentially non-trigger units, so then you can hopefully drive check those trigger units. And by checking the top card of your deck, you're setting off a bunch of other different abilities that we run in the deck as well. And on Vanguard or Rear, when you look at the top of your deck due to an effect during your turn, this unit gets plus 5,000 power. So with this, CEO Matarasu can potentially hit your opponent's, force unit, which can be a 13k unit, and this one is at 12k. So without having to use a boost, you can go with this card for the attack against your opponent and then focus on it like that. But if you wanted to run 4 of this unit instead of just the 2 that I have here, I'll show what grade 3 you can substitute out for a more bigger number of CEO Matarasu in the deck. For some of the backup units, I'm also running 4 Evil Eye Princess Uriel on Vanguard or Rear. When you look at your deck due to an effect during your turn, you may soul charge 1. Activate effects from Look and Reveal, and search effects. So basically with the CEO Amaterasu search effect, if you have this card set up and also your Evil Princess Uriel on the rear guard, which it also has the Imaginary Gift Protect, so you can focus on that as a ride target also to get your Protect marker. But just being able to get that soul charge means if you want to place the card from CEO Matarasu back on top of the deck, you can soul charge it with Uriel, and then when an attack hits, you can counterblast 1 to draw 2 cards. Being the Vanguard circle effect there, you can place it on the Vanguard circle and just have that pressure for the draw power overall, which is the one thing Matarasu has. It's the pressure for the actual attack when you check the top card and it goes on the top of the deck. But with other cards like Uriel, you have the pressure for your counterblast to give you more draw power with the deck, along with the Imaginary Gift Protect one that you use. I definitely do want to run 4 of this card along with the 4 CEO Amaterasu in the deck. So for the potential card that I would drop down to basically 2 to run, because it's more of a late game pressure card, would be Victorious Deer. With this one on Vanguard or Rear, once per turn, Soul Blast to grade 3 and discard a card from your hand. Look at 7 cards from top of your deck, reveal up to 2 critical triggers from among them, put the revealed cards on top of your deck in any order, shuffle the rest of the cards looked at and put them on the bottom of your deck in any order. 6 of your units get power plus 10,000 until end of turn. So with that Soul Charge grade 3, it's really good for the Soul Charge power of this unit if you invest it with your CEO Matarasu, but it is a late game play and it can be used on Vanguard or Rear, which is also great, just focusing on that setup as well as a rear guard attack pressure and giving that power to all your units as well. But once again, if you wanted to drop down the 2 Victorious Deer to 2, you can put in 4 CEO Matarasu and then just run the 2 Victorious Deer, being for a more budget friendly option. Like I said, these cards aren't too expensive, but still make for a very good grade 3 lineup that all work very well together also. And that is it for the grade 3s. I always like to run the 10 grade 3s for the protect decks, just as a better investment to get more protect markers as well. For the grade 2s, once again going off of the nostalgia, and just for the more budget option as well, I run 4 Silent Tom. On Vanguard or Rear when placed, counterblast 1, and it gets plus 6,000 until end of turn. So just with the weaker units you have for Oracle Think Tank, being able to give them that plus power is a big, boost for sure. And on Vanguard or Rear, during the battle they attack to Vanguard, your opponent cannot call normal units from the, to guard circle from the hand. So they have to use their trigger units, which could potentially be used to block bigger attacks, but being able to focus on Silent Tom for that is a big help for sure. You don't even have to use the counterblast if you don't want to, if you know you're not going to need it for that attack, just to conserve the counterblast for other abilities, and then being able just to attack your opponent, and they'll still have to throw down a trigger unit depending on which one it is for the attack to be blocked, or they'll just risk the attack going through and potentially you getting a critical trigger as well. And then for some of the other grade 2 spots, I'm also running 4 Maiden of Libra. At the end of the battle, they attack to Vanguard. While boosted, you counterblast 1 and draw a card. So you just have that draw power along with Maiden of Libra. You don't really use too many counterblasts for a lot of different effects with your Victorious Deer, using your Soul Charge power, and then Soul Blasting for its own ability, and then also using Uriel's just counterblast 1 on the Vanguard circle. They all at most just have the counterblast 1, so you'll have that draw power with Maiden of Libra to invest into as well. And with the once per turn, discard a card from your hand, and this unit gets plus 10,000 until end of turn. It works very well with one of the grade 1 options we run in the deck also for that spot to be filled, just as a true pressure unit for that plus 10 power, but still making up for the cost that we spent for the grade 1 discard most of the time also. And to finish off the grade 2s, I'm also running 4 Promise Daughter. With this one, during the battle that this unit attacked to Vanguard, if the number of cards in your hand is 4 or more, this unit gets plus 6,000. So with a lot of my different Oracle Think Tank decks, I was running 12 critical for the pressure. But with this one being more of a budget-based deck, I am running draw triggers. So you'll at least have that hand consistency to rely on. So you can also get that plus 6,000 power with your Promise Daughter, which along with cards, like Silent Tom, having that power boost is a big plus for sure, and this unit cannot be retired due to your opponent's card effects, so just being able to protect this card on the guard circle for that guard attack, or even just on the rear guard, protects it from, cards like Kagura that will retire units on the field. You can rely on Promise Daughter for that spot there. If you wanted to drop down the number of grade 2s we're running to increase the number of grade 1s, she would be potentially one of the units you would take out for the deck in that spot, but I'll show what card you would take her out for an additional number when we get to the grade 1s, which is right now, like I said, focusing on all of the grade 2 plays for the pressure that they bring on their own, whether it's draw power, guard restriction, or just protection against your opponent's cards. But now moving on to the grade 1 units, I'm also running 4 White Hair of Inaba. This one, at the end of the battle that this unit boosted a grade 3 Vanguard, put a card from your hand to the soul and draw 1 card. So just with the ride tactics with your Victorious Deer, if you just want to set up more and more of the grade 3 soul, you can use White Hair of Inaba, having your CEO Marissa on your Vanguard, and then just putting other grade 3s into the soul for that build up, and then giving you another draw into potentially some other cards, including Sentinels, or even just having that option for you to draw more and more depending on the option of what you want. But being able to use that without having to ride for the Victorious Deer play means for a much faster play as well with this card next turn, once you just already have the 2 grade 3s set up in your soul, being able to set the 1 up and then ride into another grade 3, having the 1 already in the soul thanks to White Hair of Inaba, and then just having the other one ridden upon when you use your other one and go for the soul blast right then and there. And being more of a budget deck, and with Miss definitely being more on the pricey side at the moment, I am running the grade 1 Sentinel, which is Coral Witch Zaza. I like this one just because it has the Vanguard when placed, draw a card, discard a card from your hand to consistently get through the deck faster if you need any other important cards as well. And then just having the generic, guard effect against your opponent for that consistency to protect against attacks when you open this card up as well. We do run a lower number of grade 1s, but you can always always substitute them in for some other numbers also, which I'll show right at the end of the grade 1 lineup. But the final grade 1 that I also run are the 3 Diviner Angel. When this card is discarded from your hand during your turn, +1 and draw a card. So this card works very, very well with Maiden of Libra for the discard cost. You'll get that plus 10,000 power for Maiden of Libra, but then being able to use your Diviner Angel for that draw power, you'll keep consistency and make up for the discard, and also just being able to use it for that option is your best chance to go for with this unit and that draw power. If you wanted to run 4 Diviner Angel in the deck, you can always drop down Promise Daughter to just running 3 and then put in the 4th copy of Diviner Angel into the deck as well for that last and final slot. But if you also wanted to increase your grade 1 numbers as a whole, you can always drop down, let's say, the grade 3 count to running 1 Victorious Deer, taking out 1 Silent Tom, and then adding in 2 Oracle Guardian Gemini just to boost up your grade 1 numbers also, since that is lowered with this deck, since we have the increased grade 3 numbers also for the Imaginary Gift Protect. And that is it for the grade 1s. Moving on now to the grade 0s. I run for the starter, since it was Misaki's original starter, Lozenji Magus for the just generic when wrote upon draw card, and soon to have the new Shield edition when you go second as well. But you know, preference, it could be whatever grade 0 starter you want for any of the decks as well. But for the trigger lineup, I'm sticking with the 8 critical for this deck, so the 4 Oracle Guardian Nike and the 4 Psychic Bird also being her original trigger lineup. And for the draws, I run the 4 Miracle Kid. I don't believe we got Dream Eater in standard format as a draw trigger, so sticking with this one for now. If you have the Miss, you can put them in for this spot, and then for the Sentinel, if you wanted to take these out, for Oracle Guardian Gemini and just keep the original numbers of the grade 1s, you can do that as well. And then for the heal triggers, just the 4 Sphere Magus to finish off the deck as a whole. And that is it. It is a really, really fun deck. I enjoyed making it and testing it out with, just like I said, having Misaki's old units be the main focus of the deck as well. Made for a very awesome, affordable deck for sure. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.